Hey, MB.
I think you ended one of your device and it kicked us all off.
Yeah, I did that. My mistake. So hopefully Shane will be back on. Good. How's it going?
It's going great in sunny New Zealand.
What's going on? The lighting looks really good there.
Morning meditation done?
Yeah, just done. I was doing something else.
Morning, Oline. And Chan's back. All right, ladies. So it is 7:02, and I'm gonna kick off so that we honor our 7:30 end time. A very warm welcome to you guys in cold London, but warm with all the love, energy, and intentionality with you guys dialing in on this call this morning. So you guys are regulars, and so you're well aligned with the intentionality of these calls. These are Monday morning calls to really disrupt the Monday morning blues and stand in. We powerfully and intentionally create how our day goes because we choose to. And so as Ronnie and I created in our messages last night, with the festive season coming on, everywhere we look, whether it's media or TV advertisements or conversations, just the general mindset is holiday season, lots of fun, excitement, shopping, yay, hoo hoo, holidays. However, I'd like to bring your attention to a different side of it, which is there's a large percentage of people, and it might actually include some of us on this call as well, or those of us that actually get to hear this recording later on, that may not actually be looking forward to the holidays, that dread the holidays, that find sitting or being forced to sit amongst family not the most exciting thing or thing to look forward to. You know, it could be for various reasons. We've fallen out with families, or we're experiencing lost ones, broken hearts, issues at work with health, and in some instances there's heartache because we can't actually get to be with our loved ones. Whatever space in that spectrum we're in, what I'd love for you guys to pause and get connected to is not every single one of us is excited about the coming 10 days or so. And we rarely ever get to hear that perspective of the quote unquote holiday slash festive season, where people are getting to deal with broken relationships in their face because they get to meet families, friends, people they don't actually want to meet, but then they have to meet, or people that they don't want to be reminded of and then do get reminded of in this holiday season. Now, you know, with that as a context, what we want to introduce to you guys is a what drives us to react the way we do, two, getting present to it, and three, how we overcome that and shift our mindset as these 10 days unfold over the holiday season. So, kicking off with the first objective, which is why are we where we are? Why do we react the way we react? Some of us are super excited, some of us not so much so. And we could bucket them into three governing forces or three almost invisible forces, also known as qualities or modes, or in Sanskrit, they're called gunas, that drive and influence our every action. The first is goodness in Sanskrit, which is an ancient language, also known as sattva. The second is passion. Its Sanskrit form is called rajasic. And the third mode is ignorance. So those are the three forms or three modes of functionality that all of us, every single human being, acts through. They almost, they're also known, can be referred to as ropes because of their binding nature. They're inseparable with the quality of being a human being. Where a human being exists, any one of these forces is pulling us into action at any given time. So to recap, that's goodness, passion, and ignorance. So I'm going to go into a bit of detail to describe what each one of those forces are. So the highest and the most noble of them is goodness. And it's described as illuminating. Basically, people functioning from goodness are strongly influenced by purity, knowledge, peacefulness, and happiness. The second quality, which is in the middle, which is the mode of passion, this mindset of people have those that are compelled to work hard, always rise to a challenge, achieve as much as they can, and increase our taste for a challenge and reward ongoingly. That's what drives us. More reward, more challenge. The third form, which is ignorance, the mode of ignorance, is one that pulls us towards envy, hate, anger, indifference, depression, and in its most lethal state, suicide and madness. Now, what's critical in understanding is every single one of us experience the same situation differently, and all of us can attest to having experienced that. And that's because we're all functioning from a different mode of existence, either goodness. Guys, can I just request everybody mute themselves, please? Hey, Amir from Bangladesh. Thanks for that big bang of a welcome. All right, so carrying on, guys. And Amir, if you could mute yourself, please. Done? All right, while you plank, so carrying on. So each and every one of us function in different modes, but as I just said, that we all experience the same situation, often very differently, and that's because we're functioning in any one of the three different modes. Now, like primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, they exist individually, but mixed together, they form an entire spectrum of colors, of a rainbow of colors, a plethora of colors. And similarly, with these three primary modes, similar to colors, they're actually blended. In any given human being, we have innumerable aspects and variations and combinations of these three modes functioning in any given moment, depending on which of the ones we fuel more based on our activity and based on the intention of our activity. And so it's never just any one of the given three modes that we function within, number one. And number two, that with this variation, we could have a million influences governing our actions at any given point. Now, what's important and critical to understand is that it's not our actions that are influenced by any one of these modes, but the intention behind the action. So why I emphasize that is it's really important for us to not judge others, right? So if we see somebody angry walking down the street, it's not enough to say, gosh, that guy's functioning from the mode of ignorance, the lowest form. What a loser. No, because we have two things. Consider we have no idea what spectrum this guy, woman or man is standing within, what their intention of their action is. And number two, we have no idea how the world occurs for them. And so the only place we get power, we get our freedom to come from a place of being empowered is when we can fully understand and relate what mode we're functioning from in any given moment. All right, so very, very important is not to bring judgment to others when we get these tools to start understanding ourselves. So what does this look like in the world out there? All right, so let's use an example of food. Now, foods, again, exist in three of the modes, right? Foods we consume and they impact our mindset. So I'm going to read a few examples for you guys. So food in the mode of goodness increases the duration of life. It purifies our existence. It gives us strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such food is juicy, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. That's the first mode, goodness. All right. Foods that are in the mode of passion are often bitter, too sour, too salty, too pungent. They have a real loud flavor to them. And foods that are stale, decomposed, a product of bloodshed are a mode of ignorance, right? So even what we consume impacts our mindset, impacts our intentionality, and therefore impacts our actions. So when we're sitting in a room full of people, who we're getting to be, consider, is largely influenced by what we're actually consuming. And there's a lot of books out there that, that attest to the same, where as the mind, so the body, as the mind, so the actions, and so the company that we actually attract and stay connected to. And, when we talk about these three modes, great that we've identified them, but then what? right? So we distinguish we're functioning in any one of the three modes. What do we do about it? The objective in our existence is really how do we move higher in the realms? How do we go from the mode of ignorance to mode of passion, and from mode of passion to mode of goodness? And so the trick here, or the tip here rather, is a few steps that we'd love to recommend. The first is try to keep your space clean. Now, with Indians on the phone, for most of our big festivals, particularly Diwali, which is our biggest annual festival of lights, there's a huge clean out that happens in our houses. Growing up in Zambia, visiting grandparents in India, even in London, these big festivals are often affiliated and associated with cleaning. And I don't know if that applies to people from different, whether it's the same for Christmas around massive cleaning sessions, or Eid. And, I never ever understood why until I understood the modes within which we exist. Because cleaning our place, cleaning our surroundings actually fills our mindset, our intentionality with modes of goodness. Funnily, most of us can relate to when we, empty our houses, when we're doing, spring cleaning, getting rid of excess stuff that we've hoarded, getting rid of stuff that we don't need actually feels therapeutic for most of us. And that's because we're moving that one step higher in the rung to get connected to our mode of goodness. And that governs our mindset. So cleaning, then eating pure foods, which we just covered, spending time daily listening to books of wisdom, books that inspire us, books that bring out the greatness in us, and then associating with people who have simplistic and more pure minds. Now, this one, when I read this bit, I found that interesting, because there's a quote where that Ronnie and I often refer to, which is, we are the average of the 5 people we hang out with. And I can so see, if I look at my entire life and the different chapters in it, from primary to secondary, boarding school in India, back here in New Zealand during university, and then working life in London, my hobbies, my passions, who I am, who I've become, who I gave up being, massively influenced by the people I'm surrounded with. All of you on this call, it's no coincidence. You create a tribe, you create a community where people pull something off of you, demand something off of you. And the fact that you're channeling your energies at 7:15 in the morning to jump on this call is already you surrounding yourself by people who demand you to be great. And so I'm going to pause there, and I'd love to turn the spotlight to all of you on this call, and as many of you that dialed in over the 15 minutes while I was giving that brief introduction. But I'd love to hear from you guys. One, how is the coming holiday season? How does it occur for you guys? Are you in the former category, which is woohoo, holidays, or in the latter category where there's some aspect of dread there? And what are you hearing from yourself when you've learned about these 3 modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance? What's showing up for you in how you're relating to the upcoming holiday seasons? So feel free to unmute yourself, guys, and let's have 1 or 2 people share.
Hey, Ambika, Amir.
Amir, go for it.
Is the sound good? Woo!
Yeah.
God. So I'm in Bangladesh, and I have a new girlfriend in London, oh man, Kilimanjaro definitely had a massive part to do with it. Shit, like I'm not the same human being. Anyway, I'm not gonna explain it, guys. If you haven't been to Kilimanjaro, do the friggin' Kilimanjaro trip. And if you're gonna ask me for my personal testimony, I'll do that later. But I got her there, and like I'm sharing like my entire heart, everything vulnerably. And she's off to her family in Ireland for Christmas, and I'm here in Bangladesh with my friends. And there's no dread anymore, Ambika. Like literally, like shit, there's no dread in my life. I would just say, my friend was like yesterday, why are you so happy? Like, I don't know. But I know, like, for example, like what you said about surrounding myself with people. Like, like I got you and Ronnie, I got this girl and amazing graduates who are consistent part of my life. I work out every day. You know, I've been running every day, doing routines of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do that. It's not going to, you know, do so that people holding me up to a standard beyond ordinariness, like Simran saying, Amir, you're trying to pull out of something now. I don't care. Change the freaking flight. You gave your word to it. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. This work, and just like what we've been doing for the last, for me, at least 3 years, has just been, wow. Real give me an appreciation for my parents giving me life, and for the, like, this complete gratitude, and gratitude for the women folk as well, man. Fuck, seriously. Like, I just used women my entire frigging life just to get like this base level nonsense, and that was it. That's so much the joy of life. Anyway, that's all I got. That's all I got now.
Love it, Amir. Thanks so much. And there's so much in what you shared that we can all get. One is, you know, just surrounding yourself with the community. 2 is love, a real sense of love, and gratitude, which are 3 things that, you know, I hear that you're very present to in what you're just standing for, what you're creating. And the, you know, letting go of all and any dread this holiday season is just, it's remarkable. So well done. And thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you for coming on from New Zealand.
Bangladesh. That's like being cause in the matter. Well done.
You're a New Zealand girl, so like, you know, you beat me to by 9 hours.
Yeah, that I do. Great. Thanks, Amir. All right.
Thank you,
have
lovely.
time for one more person to share. What space are you in? Are you excited like Amir is, or are you dreading, or somewhere in between that spectrum, the upcoming Christmas, New Year holiday break? And if so, which of the 3 modes are you present to yourself standing in today? And just to share, guys, whatever you share here is a safe space. So we encourage everybody to make the most of this community and opportunity to share your hearts away.
I can share.
Well, if you want to, I mean, I don't mind.
Oline, go for it.
Hi. Sorry, you can't see me. I'm ironing. So it's an interesting concept. I'm not sure I can quite work out where I am, which of the modes. I've never really dreaded Christmas. I always really look forward to it. I think this one, I don't know where grateful comes from, which mode that would be in. I'm not as super excited. Sorry, it's my phone. I'm not as super excited about Christmas as I probably have been in the past. I think that's because I'm going, this whole transitional phase is, it's going to be a bit different. My gratitude comes from a place of, so 2 years ago, my dad was actually in hospital, so we ended up spending Christmas in hospital with my dad. So, as my brother says, we've lowered the bar for Christmas. Are we all alive and well? And there's just, if we can pull that one off, then we're fine. Because that was a tough year for all of us, for illnesses and stuff. The transition period, it's different because I will be checking foods. And yesterday my mum did say to me, I'm looking skinny. And I did kind of remind her that once upon a time I actually was this weight, only a few years ago. So it's not any different. And then she did say something like, oh yes, but at what cost? And so you're kind of up against that mindset. It's like, well, it's not a cost really, it's a benefit.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting. I think it'll be comfortable. So I think it's just from a place of, it's not from a place of ignorance, I don't think, where I'm coming from. It's not particularly passionate. So I think it's probably just a bit of goodness that we get to all be together. It will be a bit of a challenge. You said earlier about not judging people. And I'm getting much better at just thinking about my mum in particular, and just thinking, well, you know, she comes from where she's coming from. We're both aware that I'm on a very different path, which she doesn't get, but that's fine. You know what? We're still family. We still love each other. We're going to spend Christmas together. It will be lovely. Even if all we do is eat and watch TV, that is absolutely fine. I have a sneaky feeling I'm throwing in a walk or two. My brother will be keen for that. My mum might actually come as well. She quite likes walks. Can't really get my dad moving. But yeah, so I've never really been one to dread Christmas, I must admit. I've always thought it was a great time. Even when people talk about it being very commercial, my view is, well, even if it means that people just are much more upbeat and there's a sense of wanting to give and enjoy your life, I totally buy into that. If you end up doing a bit of shopping and that excites you, go for it, as far as I'm concerned, because there's just this wonderful, I think there's this wonderful collective upbeat energy around Christmas. I do appreciate that there are people who might not feel that, but I must admit I'm always one of those that's part of that energy. I love it. I think it's great. Even Christmas, when I used to work, I missed my Christmas parties that the office used to put on, but this year I've managed to be invited, obviously put it out there in the universe that I fancied a Christmas party. So I'm actually went to a morning rave the other day, and I'm going out with a friend tomorrow. So I'm getting my Christmassy bits in. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But as I say, you can tell me which mode you think I'm coming from.
So thanks so much for sharing that, Olene. And what I love about what you and Amir have just shared is a lot of, you know, how I'd love to wrap up the call. But firstly, to answer your question, I think it's a blend of, you know, coming from space, mode of passion and mode of goodness. And just to add there that we can never, or we may not be able to ever fully isolate ourselves from lower modes. But what we can do is when we center our life around goodness, around actions that are related to goodness, and I'll share the four key aspects to functioning in that mode of goodness, in addition to what I've just created, then we almost inoculate ourselves from everything else happening in our life. And a lot of our actions, then the intentionality starts getting more, you know, it starts expanding from lower existing modes to higher ones. So I would see you in the top two modes, Olene, with this particular mindset in this particular time of the year. One thing I would love to bring your attention to, or you said you've, or your brother and you joke about you lowering the bar, because now what matters is, are we alive? Check the box, and that's great. I actually think, on the contrary, you've highered the bar or you've raised the bar, because you actually fully appreciate the value and importance of our existence as human beings. And all too often, we're so consumed with materialistic aspects of it, where it's, have we got the shopping done? Have we bought the tree? Have we decorated the tree? That we forget to ever acknowledge that every single day, 1 million people don't actually wake up. And the fact that we're one of those that actually did wake up is a miracle. And it's the biggest thing to be grateful for. And so if that's on your checklist to be grateful for, then you know what? You're standing in a massive game of just gratitude. Last week, I met this amazing woman, Dorothy, who I met in Amsterdam last year at a wedding, and she's a family friend's friend. And I went over to this family friend's place, and Dorothy showed up. She lived next door and surprised us and got a little winter hat she knitted for Kanea. She's 82 years old, and it was remarkable sitting with her. And she says she plans her life on a weekly basis because she doesn't know whether she's going to be alive beyond next week or the week after. And so she truly lives in the moment. She's fit as anything. She walks along the beaches, daily walks. And, you know, so much of what we coach her on FITBANKER is something that Dorothy at the age of 82 just gets. And she was like, it took her, 60 years to understand that health is wealth. But now that she's on that treadmill and she's on that bandwagon, she just gets that it is unwilling to compromise on that, living in the moment and truly getting the fact that she's alive is her biggest gift ever. So on that note, guys, 4 final points to add to, in addition to what I shared before, how you transcend the mode of goodness in your day-to-day actions, is one is giving, and Auline touched on that as well. Give without expecting to receive this holiday season. Don't expect a response, a phone call, or an in-kind gesture. Don't expect that invitation. Give and then give some more. The power of giving is incredible. You may not see the impact then. I promise you the ripple effect is huge. Next, love. Believe that your love for your parent, your sibling, your spouse, your relatives, it does matter. And that your love is the most valuable thing you can offer. Trust that that is enough. As human beings, and I often say this, our true essence as human beings is love. Like that of fire is heat, or that of sugar is sweetness. Of human beings, our core essence is love. When we're standing in being loving, we're being our most truest and purest forms. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is something we never give enough significance to, and it's one of the most powerful forces that allows us to let go of the past and be in the present moment. And when we hold a negative charge towards another, it's a negative charge against ourselves. And so there's this incredible 20-minute guided meditation that I do regularly, and Ronnie does as well, which is by the founder of Mind Valley, Vishen Lakhani, and it's just a 20-minute guided meditation with 6 steps. Of them, the third step is forgiveness, and he emphasizes a fair bit on it. Doing that daily from the day I got pregnant till today, it's amazing because there's so many moments in a day we make people wrong. We don't realize we're making people wrong, and just getting that energy out of our systems, it's actually revitalizing and purifying. Try it, highly recommend it. And last but not least, Amir touched on it, Auline touched on it, which is gratitude. The power of gratitude is beyond anything that words capture. It has, there's a quote that says, the flap of a butterfly's wings on this, where you're at, can cause, a hurricane across the world. That's the power of gratitude, where we can be grateful for every single thing in any given day. When we wake up or when we're hitting the sack, it just sends out grateful vibes across the universe. So when you're sitting with family, and Ronnie started gratitude calls with his family in Zambia and Australia. Every Sunday we're on those calls, grateful. And we say, we go around, the 10 or so of us, to say, what's 3 things you're grateful for? I do that every morning. I wake up, when Kane opens his eyes, and when I hit the sack. And there's so much to be grateful for. And often when we're upset and angry with whatever, one thing Ronnie and I do to interrupt that is, call the other one out and say, what are you grateful for in this moment? When we're upset with life, or the weather being not the way we want it to, whatever trivial stuff that we think is so significant and worth being upset over, we call each other out by pulling ourselves back into the space of gratitude. So giving, love, forgiveness, and gratitude is definitely a space we invite you guys to stand in, as you're going to be meeting every single person you meet over the next 2 weeks or so. And on that note, guys, it is 7:30. For you guys in the UK, it's time to end the call. I hope this was of value to you. Massive hugs. Have an amazing holiday season. Just, give everybody all of yourself generously. Big hugs, guys. Lots of love.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Happy Christmas.
Bye. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. Come on, Ambika.
And a Happy New
And a
Year.
Yeah.
Bye,
Ambika,
everyone.
you've lost your singing skills since you stopped being coaching on the IOP.
Oh, please. It's the connection.
I remember you with those sunglasses and doing the dance. I'm like, oh my God. You should get that image of you on stage with the black outfit. Who else was on there? Oh my God, that was something incredible. Just wasn't present, man. Just wasn't present in that whole 7 months. Jesus.
And a big love and hug and kisses to you guys from the
Hey, Gucci.
That's Uncle Amir. That's Amir, Mama. And Simran Masi. And bye-bye. everybody.
Is Simran on the call?
Yep.
Simran, man, you're gonna get a punch in the face from me when I see you.
All right, guys. See you. This one's up for speed time. So big hugs and lots of love. Amir, love the energy. Keep it up.
All right. See you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Hey, Ronnie!
Enjoy, Amir. Lovely news.
Rude boy.
Lovely news to hear about London and Dublin. It's all making sense. It's lovely.
You better